expecting you to get on the brakes that fast.
championship. Give us some thoughts on that.
Yeah, with someone like James, who's at such a high level, it's just super hard. There's no one thing that stands out as
Hey, say, man. Hey, say, man. I bet you damn in the dog shit, nigga. You can't get lost soon as I can get strapped, huh? You fucking with the right one. You don't know that. It's the game, nigga. So you heard what he said, ho, nigga. But know that I'm going for the said go, nigga. Try to cross the line, be a dead hoe, nigga. Give a damn if you wearing blue or red, ho, nigga. Listen, I ain't really much for the combo. I'm finna bring drum to your front door. RP Nando, shout out to Fernando, who give the key to me here underlay pronto. Turn up all through the night. Fucking little mama, right?
the reason that you win or lose. It's a combination of everything. And I had personally been waiting for the day that James would come back to FD, and I've been following him closely. I really have, seeing everything he's done over the years. And I think that particular battle in Canada, we ended up not really making any big mistakes, whereas James had a slight flaw, and that was all it took. And gone are the days when you could drive at 80-90% and win a battle. Now you just got to go for it, and you have to be super aggressive. We saw that last year here in Long Beach, and I think it makes for a more exciting show, but it also makes it a lot harder as a driver. Every battle is your final battle, and it's all about faster car, better driver, being more consistent. And the one thing that I've done to try and prepare myself for this season is go back to my native country, Norway. I've done a lot of ice drifting, which seemingly is very different, but in reality is a lot of the same. And I've put up a lot of doors all winter, and hopefully that is what it's going to take to do well this year.
For Matt, with respect to James, in 2012 we kind of had a little bit of a Daigo effect where he came in, shook things up, everybody made adjustments, and it kind of changed the face of the sport for the time being. Given the fact that you're building a new car, and we kind of saw James have a little bit of a Daigo effect, even to a bigger extent, what goes into building a new vehicle to kind of take into account some of the things you learned from what he's doing on track with his vehicle?
I think the major thing that stood out to me about James's driving is his ability to stay close to somebody and make it look smooth. a lot of the chassis out there that are fast cars are really hard to drive. My S14 is a prime example of that. It was fast and I could get there, but it was hard to stay there and make it look proper. With the Corvette, I think any reaction that you do behind the wheel isn't as apparent because the chassis is much lower, much wider, much stiffer. And that's kind of what James's car was in comparison to my S14. So I think it's going to be a huge learning curve, and I can't even tell you, like, I built this way because of this, because until you're out there with the big boys throwing down in battle, it's hard to say what adjustments are going to need to be made. But I definitely see some of the stuff that went into building James's car, how he drove it, was I was able to test that out and really feel that behind the wheel. So it's just going to come down to, can somebody stay there and can you make it look smooth, because we know the sport is, at least in my opinion, heavily weighted on the follow, but you have to be able to lay down a solid lead run. And I think the Corvette can do that. It's a great car all on its own, but until we get into battle and we start making adjustments, it's going to be hard for me to say.
And then James, for you, well, what is the barometer for success for you this year? I mean, 6 podiums, championship, you made a big mark. You sit back and say, I got a podium all 8 events, or what is success for you this year?
One of the things I love about drifting is you just never know until you go on track. Anything can happen, whether it's the car, your opponent, something strange or whatever. It's so hard to predict with drifting, but for me personally, I just want to approach it the same way I have been doing. Just take it one step at a time and just trying to do our best and see where it goes. So that's kind of the way I personally approach drifting since I started, and I don't really want to change my way of thinking. So for me, the cars are pretty much the same as last year, just refreshed. So there's nothing really new or challenging to get around. We updated some of the steering components, and they're pretty much as is. So we have a lot more information on the tracks, and everything was new for us last year. So we should be a bit more comfortable starting out practice sessions. And Peter, my teammate, you could see his results there in Irwindale last year, and to see him and his level come so high towards the end of the year when he was feeling really comfortable, I think it's going to be an exciting year for the team and an exciting year for the sport in general.
This is for all 3 of you guys. We've moved the Canadian event to St. Louis and to new track. Nobody's been on it, at least in a Formula Drift competition. Any thoughts on the preparation for that and what can be expected there as a brand new venue for everybody?
Yeah, so for me personally, I'm on a new track, so I'll try to approach it the same way as we have done with last year's new tracks. Personally, I like the event in Canada, but it was quite demanding and challenging on teams and cars between logistics and getting there, and the track itself at night was pretty tricky. So new track, looking forward to checking it out. I haven't really seen or know what section they're using, but I think it's exciting for the sport and for the fans to see drifting go to a new area in the United States.
Oh yeah, same thing. I also really liked the Canada course. We had a really successful 3-year stint there. Great crowd, great everything. But I get that it's a North American championship, and hopefully there will be a 10-round world championship, and we could go back to Canada. That'd be a lot of fun. So make it happen.
Yeah, Jim.
I'm the same way. I love Montreal, everything about it, but I'm also a fan of new tracks. I think that it evens out the playing field, especially some of the people who have been here a long time. And I feel like I've even been here a long time, and there's guys who've been here longer than I have, obviously. So turn the page. I'm all for moving forward. I was even okay with not going back to Irwindale. Don't get me wrong. I wanted that. track is just different and refreshing, and it can give the fans a different outlook on what's going on, and it's a challenge for all of us. So I'm kind of open for it, down for whatever. I'm glad we're going back to Irwindale, but I'm also pumped that we're going to St. Louis.
Matt, related question for you, just with respect to team business and what you guys do in the off season. This past off season, you gave us a really close inside look to what goes on into building a car. We met your dad and a lot of your friends in constructing that. Give us a little insight behind what those pieces of content were, and if you're going to be continuing to do that.
So for me, being able to partner with Donut Media for the Friend of Me series last year was really a gateway into something that I hope continues on. I had the idea of, obviously we're going to build a Corvette, I want to document it, but with as much work as I put into building the car, there was no way that I was going to actually have the time to produce or edit any of those pieces of content. So when I brought it to Donut, they were willing to do it, and I was like, well, I'd like to do maybe a monthly or every couple of weeks, and they're like, no, let's do a weekly episode documenting the entire build of the car. I was like, the gears start turning in my head, like that's going to be a lot of work. And it is so difficult to stop what you're doing and have to explain it to the camera. Because I'm very much a person, like when I'm at the shop, I'm thrashing, I'm working, I'm getting stuff done, and I want to move on to the next thing. But it was difficult for me to not be able to do that. I have to stop and explain, set up the camera, and weld, and I didn't get the shot, so let me redo it. And then having all my buddies who are helping me out, having them explain what they're doing, and they don't even want to do that, so I'm having to explain what they're doing. And being able to bring people in, like my dad who was willing to help, and my dad's not a big be on camera person, so I have to like, come on dad, tell me what you're doing, what is this? And that just takes away time. So I think that it did extend the build process a little bit, but at the end of the day, I very much feel like it was worth it. Because up until this point, I haven't seen anybody document an entire build of a Formula Drift car.
What up guys, I'm Matt Field, professional Formula Drift driver. Welcome to Field Prep. It's another day of things arriving, but something big that I've been waiting for, the Borla exhaust system. I'm gonna open it up, see what happens, put it on, and Super Pumped is finally here. Those are long boys. Woohoo! So before I even knew, Graham's over here putting the first Borla header on. She's in, clears the steering shaft nicely, clears the cross member nicely. You can see the fitment of this thing. It's literally perfect. It's so nice when stuff is built for a Corvette and it fits. Other ones over here on the floor. We're gonna get these fit up. What about you? You're just eating snacks in my seats. We just got the headers on. They fit nice and square, long in here. Borla did a nice job when they designed these headers. So now we're gonna put on the X-pipe and then the rear pieces. And then we have to figure out what kind of exhaust mount to make after that. Smooth. Now to work on the back part of the exhaust. Since the Borla exhaust was meant for a C6, it ended basically right here and then would have had to have the mufflers and everything else normally. But since our chassis is cut back here, regular off-the-shelf exhaust wouldn't work. So what these guys are doing are adding some CX Racing 3-inch stainless to it, chopping this at an angle, and they're gonna do the same thing over here for this side, because you can see that's where the Borla one normally goes, and that's what they just achieved right there. But I think that they did a great job. Look at that. And it looks really, really good. It really cleared it quite well, and then now this comes right out the back. Right now we are heat wrapping the exhaust because the diff is right here, the axles are right here, but the radiator is literally right on top of the exhaust. It's kind of a bummer that the radiator is right on top of the exhaust, but you have no option in a Corvette. That's where it goes. So heat wrap it, hope that it stays cold, I guess. Now we got to safety wire it, because as we come to the end, the safety wire actually holds this heat wrap down. We're gonna do two, one on here, one on here. Maybe my safety wire is up on that safety wire. It's an exciting day. Huh. Day we've been waiting for a while. Dan with Part Shop Max has finally delivered our suspension. You can
Sean Khalifa, man.
Toe Chains.